Hi there, I'm Bill Pierce, Vice President and General Manager at Wolff Industries Incorporated. Welcome to our first live stream. These certainly are some interesting times that we're dealing with right now, and as we have been for almost 40 years now, Wolff Industries wanted to do what we can to support our sharpening community. So we've come up with this live stream format to answer some questions, make sure we're using this time effectively so we can all come out of this stronger, more efficient, and ready to get back to work. We hope you enjoy this presentation. The chat will be open. Let us know what you think and feel free to ask questions.
Hey, my name is Caleb. Thank you for joining us today on our first ever live stream. We are very excited about what we've got going on for you guys. This is brand new to us. We've been doing a lot of research this week and last week to figure out how to do this and get it set up. We're real excited about the possibilities of what we can do with this going forward. So thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. My name is Caleb, and here at Wolff Industries, I'm part of our sales team. What we do is we go into a lot of manufacturing facilities, industrial, poultry facilities, that kind of thing, and we teach sharpening training, usage. We train on the twice as sharp, maintenance, that kind of stuff. I also am part of the marketing and communications team here. So if you've ever gotten a email newsletter or seen a social media post, shopped on our website and seen stuff like that, that's the kind of stuff that I'm involved in doing. And now working on live streams. So I want to, before we jump in here, I kind of want to talk about what it is that we're going to do. So we want this to kind of be more of like a laid back, kind of informal feel where you guys jump in the chat and talk to us, ask us questions, that kind of thing, and we can address those as we're doing this. And so we're looking forward to answering the questions. I actually have my phone here with me so I can see who all's watching. I can see people jumping in here, and we can see the chat as well. So I want to show you a little bit about how we've got everything set up so you can know what we're doing, and show you that we've got some flexibility with what we're doing. So please let us know in the chat if the audio is too quiet, if you can't hear me, if I need to move some lights around or fix some things. If I do something and you can't see it or you didn't see it very well, drop a comment in the chat, and we'll try to address that and maybe move some cameras around. But I kind of want to show you what we're doing here. So on this front camera here, we've got set up with the table. We also have a second camera back here that's going to be a closer up shot of my hands to kind of show what I'm doing. And I will also jump up here and maybe grab this camera to zoom and focus to kind of show you guys some things. So I'm actually going to do that right now and kind of take you sort of around the room with what we got going on. So there's my monitor. That's what I'm looking at to make sure that I've got my table and everything in focus. Over here, we've got Dan. This is Dan Cox. He's part of our sales team as well. He also helps us set up and organize our trade shows. He is running the stream and monitoring the audio, monitoring the video. He'll be the one changing the cameras and all that kind of stuff. And he has been super instrumental in getting this stream set up. So I'm going to move this camera back and make sure that we're in focus and you can see everything. And then I've got my notes right over here that I'm looking at.
Some people saying volume is a little low. I want to see if I can bump that.
Volume is a little low. Okay, so we're getting some feedback. Cool, we're getting some feedback that the volume is a little low. David and Tim, yeah, so we'll see if Dan can get that raised up a little bit. Scott, lighting is good. Cool. So if the audio kind of cuts out for a second, Dan is working on some stuff for us here. And I'm going to jump in to our next thing here in a little bit. Cool, so I'm going to keep running with it. Thanks, Tim and Scott, David, and Elias. I hope I'm saying that right. Watching from Mexico. Very cool, very cool. Thank you for joining us. So we're going to jump right into it, and hopefully we can make some adjustments, and you can hear us all right.
I raised the audio a little. Is that any better?
We have raised the audio. Y'all let us know if that is better. Dan says he raised the audio a little bit, so just let us know. He'll be monitoring that. So say, yeah, Dan, good, or not. Cool. So what we're doing today, we're doing some maintenance on the Twice as Sharp. This is a great time. A lot of us are at home, and we're probably not using our equipment as much as normal. So it's a good time to get everything in tip-top shape and make sure our equipment is good to go for when all this craziness is over and we're hitting the road. So one of the questions we got this week in one of the Sharpener chats on Facebook was about the bearings of the machine and how to know when those are kind of starting to go, or if they're working, and how to replace them. So to answer that question directly, power up your machine, and if it's at full speed, if it is quiet and smooth, you don't have anything to worry about. Your bearings are good. If it's loud and you're hearing a rattling, that kind of thing, even as it spins down, when you cut the power off and it's spinning down, if it's got that shake and that rattle, then it possibly could be the bearings. The second part to that question is we've got some specific equipment here that we use when we put the bearings on, heating them up, and several different things. And so we don't recommend making those changes yourself. So right now I'm not going to open the machine up and change bearings out for you guys. If your machine is rattling and you think your bearings are going out, now would be a really good time to send it to us and allow us to do those repairs so that your machine is ready to go. So short answer, quiet and smooth, your bearings are good. If your bearings are bad, please give us a call and we'll look at doing the repair. So I'm going to jump on to our next thing. A next question that we got was with the clamp. So we want to address some things with the clamp. I'm actually going to sit this down off the table for just a second. So, and I will grab that again here in a minute. All right, so the clamp. We had some questions that came up in one of the Facebook groups about the clamp kind of binding up and being hard to loosen or some wobble. And so basically I wanted to cover just some basic clamp care. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to jump up here on this front camera. So I'm going to look here and see if I can focus this. There we go. Okay, so one of the issues, I'm going to pull this up and then we're going to show you a picture here in just a second, is all of the dirt and dust and grit that can get right here in the threads of the screw and can get up into the threads in the lower jaw here. And that can bind up the clamp. So a picture was sent to us this week. I want to see if Dan can throw that up onto the stream here. Okay, so in the picture here, the screw going into the lower jaw broke because it was bound into the clamp. And so this caused a failure here on this clamp. And so what we want to do is kind of show maybe how to help prevent a situation like this because other parts of the clamp look really nice. The lower jaw, there's not a lot of wear there. Everything's looking good. So we're going to jump back over here. I'm going to try to get this focus set back there. And we're going to make some moves. And we're going to jump in here to this other camera. And we're going to show how to take care of this right here. All right, so I don't know if you can see, we've got this spring here. We don't want this spring to go flying off, so you want to make sure you grab that. And you don't want to make sure your washers go rolling off on the floor like that one just did for me. And then what we recommend doing is using lube, the scissors lube here. We'll see if that's going to focus on that. The reason we recommend this and not using oil is because the oil will attract all the dust and dirt. So you don't want to oil any parts of your clamp. This scissors lube is a wax-based lubricant that is suspended in alcohol. So when we put this on here, the alcohol is going to evaporate and it's going to leave the wax lubricant. And then you'll want to grab a brush, kind of like this, and clean out those threads real good. And I hope you guys can see that. If you can't see that, let us know. It's kind of when you use a brush. You just kind of get all of the extra grit. Yeah, see that was a clean brush before we got started, and that just came off of this clamp here. And so you can see here we've also got a lot of dust and dirt kind of in the jaw under here. We want to put some of that, and then you want to, you can disassemble this completely here and take these completely apart, but I just kind of want to show you the difference if we use a rag here, the difference in how much cleaner that is. So you want to make sure that you disassemble your clamp, clean the parts, and we recommend using the wax-based lubricant because the oil will bind up all the dust. It'll attract all the dust, and you don't want that. That just makes matters worse. Also with the clamp, how we have this, each of these pieces can be replaced. So if you're getting wear on your lower jaw here, you can order just the lower jaw from us. We sell these pieces, so you can replace these. This is the lower jaw. It's the upper jaw. This is the upright that's got the angles on it, and then this is the knob here. So you can replace all these parts. So in that picture we had, he needed to replace the knob. He needed another one of these, and he needed another lower jaw, and of course the washers and springs. His upper jaw and his upright was still good. So where this broke, he can just get these pieces instead of buying a whole nother clamp. All right. Do we need to take a second to answer some questions? Let's see. All right, we got from Canada, the UK. Hey, let us know. Let's see. Maybe some sound. I see somebody saying no sound. Do we have sound coming through? Jump in the chat and let us know that you're here and where you're watching from. So I see we got some people from, let's see, Mexico and Canada and the UK. So yeah, just say hey. Let us know where you're from and that you're watching. That would be awesome. We'd love to see that you're here. Cool. We got to cleaning. We got the individual parts. Yeah, let's jump into the arm. So I'm going to pick this twice as sharp. Back up here. All right. Cool. So we're gonna look at the arm. So another question that we got when people were asking us some specific things to address was caring for the arm and balancing the arm, balancing to make sure that you're hitting the bevel at the correct spot on the sharpening wheel and the honing wheel. And we have a video. I'm going to have Dan put the link in the description. So when this stream is over, I'll have him put the link in the description where you can go and watch a little section of maintenance on the twice as sharp. And there's a part in that video where we show how to balance the arm, raising and lowering the arm, and specifically doing a Sharpie trick, using the Sharpie on the bevel. So make sure you watch that. I don't want to go over that part completely, but what I do want to talk about a little bit is some of the theories behind why we're doing that and some other things to kind of look at that we don't cover in that video. So So hopefully between what I'm going to talk about here and the maintenance video that shows the balancing, hopefully you'll find some value there in those two things to kind of help keep your arm balanced. So what you don't want in your arm is any kind of up and down play. Here with the red twice as sharp, we've got this block. Let me see if you can see that. Yeah, the block on the arm. We'll spin this around to the other camera. So this block right here, this keeps the arm more secure and keeps it from going left and right, which reduces wear on this joint here, this screw and the washers that are under. So right here under the arm is a set of washers, and I'm going to show these washers up close here in just a minute. But what we do here at Wolff Industries is when we're putting this arm in, we set these washers under here, and then we tighten this screw down to approximately 13 pounds of pressure. Now the washers under this arm are plastic washers, and they have different heights. So I'm going to jump over to this other camera here and show you. We'll see if we can get real nice and in focus there. Okay. So these are the washers that will come if you order a new arm from us, or they're in a little baggie when you get the twice as sharp. And they're little plastic washers, and you can see that there's white, black, and gray, and they are different widths. And I'm hoping you can see that in the light and see that that's in focus. So when we set up an arm for the first time, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the black and the gray. And that's going to be our starting point for balancing the machine. So when you get a new arm, or you've loosened your arm up and moved it, or you're setting it back on your twice sharp, this is a great place to start with these two washers. Now there's a reason that they are all different heights, so you may need to...
Somebody's asking to separate them.
To separate them, okay, so somebody asked for us to separate them. So there are 3 washers, and let's see if I can kind of hold them separate. They are different widths. There. Okay, so this is why the widths of the washers are important. Excuse me there as I set that focus. All right, so the washers here, we're going to switch over to the other camera and get in real nice and close again. The washers that are under the arm right here are going to affect the height of the arm. So right here on this plane. And what that's going to do is that's going to affect the entire height of where your blade is going to hit on both of these. And so like I said a second ago, Wolff Industries, when we're setting these things up, we're going to start with the black and the gray, and we're going to set a drill to approximately 13 pounds of pressure when we tighten this thing down. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten this so y'all can see it. And that was probably super loud in your ears, and I'm really sorry. But what that did is that screamed that we were at 13 pounds of pressure. So this is where we are going to start with balancing the wheels. And then what that has done is that will allow the bevel to kind of hit the wheels in the right place. Now this is the part where you will want to watch the other video, and it's going to show you the Sharpie trick. So you're going to sharpen a new bevel here, you're going to color on the blade with Sharpie, and then you're going to switch over here and you're going to hone that Sharpie off. And what that's going to tell you is where your balance is, if you're too high or too low on the angle. And that video kind of shows it, explains it, and you're going to look at where the blade is hitting, and you're either going to need to raise or lower your arm here to make the adjustments for the balance of where you're hitting your wheels. So you may have to tighten this down a little bit if you want to lower it. If you just need to lower it just a little bit, kind of tighten your arm up a little bit and squeeze on those plastic washers. If you need to raise it up, you may need to add in the white washer. And so you'll have to make some adjustments, and you have to do that Sharpie test a couple times and experiment with raising and lowering the arm here for hitting where you're hitting your balance correctly on your wheels. Now this is going to be a wear point. So over time, your washers are going to get crushed, and they will eventually need to be replaced. So if you're really having a hard time with keeping your balance on your wheels, you can get more of these washers that are fresh, and that should help tune your arm a little better. Cool. So the next thing is on your joints here. You don't want to oil these. They're going to get a lot of grit and dust in these joints. So you can blow them out with the compressed air, like one of those compressed cans, that kind of thing, to try to keep these clean. But don't oil these. We don't want to put oil anywhere on the twice as sharp, any of these joints, anywhere on the clamp, because that's just going to grab all the dust and grit and dirt, and it's just going to make things so much worse. So don't ever oil these joints. Just try to keep them blown out with dust. The joints will eventually be a wear point here. And then the other part that you may see wear is going to be in this bearing right here. So I'm going to grab our clamp. Unless you're like perfectly going straight down here all the time.
So if you want it on there, just let them know weird.
Yeah, I just did. Yeah, I lost connection. Okay, I think we're back. Sorry about that. We had some internet issues there. Looks like maybe we are back. Okay, good. Sorry about that. Yeah, cool. Let's keep going. So we were talking about, eventually your arm will need to be replaced. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but we have a trade-in program. So if the arm needs to be replaced, replace the arm. Send it to us, and we will give you a credit towards the new arm. So recycle your old arm with us, and we will give you a credit towards the new one. So let me jump over here to notes and see where we're at. I didn't time this thing. I saw that was a question in here. How long is this video going to be? This video is being recorded and will be up so you can watch it later. So if you can't watch right now, that's okay. You can jump in anytime and watch it. I didn't time or set a limit. I don't have a clock. So this may be short and I may ramble for 2 hours. We'll see. Hopefully we won't ramble for 2 hours. On the arm, one thing that I forgot to address that I do want to show you is if you have the Teal twice as sharp, which I've got one right here, the arm is a little different. We don't have this block. We don't have the block to keep the left and right movement here. And the screw is not accessible from the top. Now I'm going to try to rotate this here to see if you can see. The same washers are used right here. So the same washers that we have on the red one are here. But to access that, you are going to have to take the bottom plate of the machine off right here. So you're going to have to take these 4 screws, take this bottom plate, and then you've got access to removing this screw right here to add or lower. So if you need to tighten it, you're going to have to tighten from down here. That's one of the improvements we made on the red one. We made it much, we reduced the wear on the arms with the red machine by adding the block. We made it a lot easier to access the screw on the top. But I did want to pull out this one so that you can see where you need to access that. But it's the same theory of adding washers or tightening the bolt or lowering to get your balance right. And like I said, refer to that other video so you can see what I mean when I talk about the Sharpie trick. The Sharpie trick is very helpful. It's what I do every time when I've got to set up. If I'm in a plant, if I'm in a poultry plant or anything like that, I always have a Sharpie on me. So when I'm doing, if I have to repair something or if their equipment's loose or whatever, I will do what I can to get everything balanced, and I will do the Sharpie trick every single time. The Sharpie will buff off. You can also use the scissors lubricant to help clean the Sharpie off, that kind of thing. We're going to jump into the wheels, dressing the wheels. So we're going to pull this back up here, and I'm going to take the caps off. Now just pretend that I had all those screws in there and then I just took them out and then took it off, and that I didn't have this machine prepped ahead of time. So yeah, you'll have to remove the 3 screws on each side to take those off. And then what I wanted to do is, okay, yeah, you're on the first camera here. So one of the questions we got in prep for this live stream was how to reduce the wobble in the wheels. So I have pre-loosened this a little bit, but what I want to show you, that's a reverse thread, so watch that. And we're going to spin around to this other camera here. And we're going to remove the wheel. I'm doing this backwards, so this is interesting. I want to show you guys, on the sharpening side here, there should be a flange on the inside. Let's see if I can get that off. That is blue. There we go. So the blue flange is machined a specific way, different from these flanges. So the blue is blue for a reason. The surface here is machined a little differently, and it always goes on the inside of the sharpening stone, on the inside towards the machine. So then you'd put your wheel on, you would set your flange, and you start getting your bolt on there. And so then what I wanted to show, I'm going to see if I can step around here and do this because it's hard for me to do that backwards. And we'll see if we can get these wheels kind of straight on. And then what we're going to do is you kind of want to turn this and look at your wheel once you put your new wheel on to see if there's any wobble. So let me see if I can get this to show you what I'm talking about. So I don't know if you saw that wobble there. It's usually what happens is when your wheel goes on and it's not quite straight up and down. So if it's kind of to the side and you spin it, you kind of see the wheel wobble. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. The way we recommend fixing this is take your hand while it's kind of still loose on the shaft. Hold your right hand on the other side to hold the wheel, and just kind of make some slight adjustments to get the wheel as flat as you can against that blue flange in there, and just kind of rotate the wheel a little bit, and then tighten everything back down real good, and then spin to see if you've got the wobble. See, there's maybe a slight bit there. So then we adjust, make some adjustments, and then tighten it back down real good. So you want to make sure everything's real nice and tight while you're doing this, because if you're doing it while it's completely loose and then you tighten it, you're going to make some changes, and that can change too. So you want to make sure that as you test this, you test it while everything's real nice and tight. So I don't know if you can see the angle there, but now that's spinning pretty straight. As the motor spins up too, it'll help get everything real nice and even. So that's the way we recommend making adjustments when you've got wobble in your wheel. When you're putting a new wheel on, is find out where your wobble is, loosen it up, adjust the wheel, and then rotate it on the shaft just a little bit, and then tighten everything back down again, and then spin it from this other side. Use the other wheel to kind of spin to make sure you don't have any left and right wobble anymore. And once you get it pretty straightforwards, kind of get everything locked back down. And I hope that's the question. I don't remember exactly who asked that question in one of the Facebook chats. I hope that's kind of what you were asking. How to reduce wobble in the wheels and how to keep the machine balanced. Those are two kind of key elements to the twice as sharp, and making sure that we are keeping consistent angles as best as possible. Cool. I don't know where we're at on time. I'm checking out our list of things that we wanted to address. Next thing, we kind of talked about this a little bit, was just kind of keeping everything clear of dust. While we got the end caps off here, a area that's going to collect dust, especially on the blue one, is right in here under the wheels. Let's see. Yeah, I think you can see that. So right in here, all the dust is going to kind of collect and settle, and you really need to make sure that you're keeping this area clean. Because when you got the end caps off, the dust is going to get in there and settle, and then that can eventually cause issues. So you want to make sure that you're taking your end caps off and keeping everything clean. Now, another improvement that we did with the red one over the green one is we added the dust collection ports. So it's a little bit less of an issue here, especially if you've got some kind of suction in your shop or in your workroom. If you've got some kind of suction here, this is going to help with this a lot. But this is an area you want to make sure that you clean dust out. You want to make sure that you're blowing dust and keeping your arm and your joints real clean here, and then dust that you're keeping your clamp real clean and free of dust. And lastly, for kind of our twice as sharp maintenance, is your eye shields and your finger guards. The finger guards, we're going to swap here to this other camera real quick. Get that, thanks Dan. Your finger guards here are designed to raise and lower. So as your wheel wears down, just loosen up this bolt right here, this screw, and you can slide this up to keep you don't want the gap to get so big that you don't want clothing or fingers. Goodness, yeah, you don't want any extremities going getting sucked in there while the wheel's spinning. So you want to make sure you keep this loose, or you loosen this up, slide the finger guard up, tighten it back down. Just, you want to keep things nice and safe, especially if you're working in like an industrial facility. Things like OSHA and safety inspections, they'll get you on the finger guards and the eye shields if you don't have those in a correct position. Before we switch, I think we have some questions.
You want to briefly talk about the dust collector that we have?
Yes. So Dan mentioned dust collection. We do make a dust collection unit for the twice as sharp. So if you don't have a solution in your workspace for that, we do make a dust collection cabinet specifically made for the twice as sharp. We were gonna try to find something off the shelf already that worked with the twice as sharp, that had enough speed for the type of material that this thing is generating with the stainless steel and carbon steel and all that kind of stuff. We didn't find one that we liked or that worked well enough, so we made our own. So that is an option. You can check that out on the website, and it just hooks right up to the dust ports on the back of the twice as sharp. I'm going to check in here. Looks like we've answered some questions. Man, we got a lot of people in here chatting. This is awesome. And we've got people helping out, answering. Thanks, David. Dan, do we have any other questions that we need to address? Do I need to go back and show anything up close or anything like that?
We did get a shout out for our beards.
Shout out for our beards. All right. Awesome.
We do have a question here.
Do you have a question? Okay.
Is it recommended to use a drill bit and dimple drill holes to balance the wheel? So I'm assuming what they're asking is to drill into the wheel itself.
Okay, so one of the questions was, is it recommended to use a drill to dimple drill into the wheels to help with balance? The answer to that is no, we would not recommend doing that, just because that will help to break down the integrity of the wheel. All the wheels, the best way to do it is honestly the way I showed you, and keep the spin going and make adjustments. You can take a very small, like a ball peen hammer or something like that, and kind of tap right up in here near the shaft, and kind of make adjustments for moving the wheel slightly on the shaft as you spin. So you should be able to, you can even take a Sharpie and mark, and you'll start to see where the movement is. So like if we put like a little Sharpie mark here on the outside of the wheel, and as you spin it, you'll see where the kind of the wobble is to make your adjustment to kind of pull back on the wheel. Yeah, if you drill into the wheel, anything like that, there's a good chance that you'll mess with the integrity of the wheel. And the last thing that you want to have happen is while this machine is up and spinning, there be some kind of like hairline crack or something in it. You don't want this. I mean, this wheel will explode if it's got cracks in it from maybe doing some adjustments to the wheel, and it's under full RPM. There's a good chance that it can crack apart, and you definitely don't want that. So that was kind of a long answer, a long way to say no, but that's why we would not want you to do that.
Asking if it's advisable to put some of the scissor into the arm itself, so in the joints of the arm.
So the question is putting scissor lube into the joints of the arm itself. Cool. I think we're back. Sorry about that. We're not really sure why the internet keeps dropping on us, but we appreciate you bearing with us. Like I said, this is the first time we've done anything like this. We think it's a really cool idea to be able to present this in a live format and be able to answer questions and talk to you guys. And I know we've got several people in the chat that are helping answer questions, and so it's a really unique thing and ability that we have, and a way to interact in a world that is so isolated right now. It's kind of like we've invited all you guys in here with us, and since you can't be in, this is our classroom where we do classes, and since you guys can't be here with us, we thought this would be a cool way to incorporate that. So thank you for bearing with us as we work out all the kinks. Unless we have any other questions.
There's one more that came through.
There is one more question, okay.
Someone is asking just kind of a quick key differences between the two machines, so between the teal and the red machine.
Okay, yeah. I will pull, let me see if I can pull up this, get both the machines up here at the same time. So we're going to spin this around. So one of the questions was, what are the key differences? I don't want to drop that. What are the key differences between the two machines? So is this in, yeah. So this looks like this is in frame here and focused. Okay, so the two big differences are the riser block here on the arm with the red machine. You can see that holding the arm. This one does not have that. The screw is accessible from the top, whereas it is accessible from the bottom on this one. The machine is raised up a little bit higher from the base on the red one to accommodate for the riser block, and then also the dust collection ports on the back. The dust collection ports are real important, real key. Not only does it keep your workspace and your Cool. All right. Looks like we're back. Like I said, it's sorry for whatever's happened with the internet. We got some comments here. Yeah, it looks like so many people are on the internet and doing streaming things like this that maybe YouTube's having some trouble. And I know there's Zoom and GoToMeeting and all that kind of stuff. They're having to learn how to handle everybody on the internet trying to do live streaming. So we thank y'all for sticking around with us. We were jumping in here to differences. The biggest difference, like I said, riser block, dust collection ports, and sealed bearings. I may be using that term incorrectly. If David Wolff is still in the chat with us, he can tell us the difference. Off the top of my head, I don't exactly remember what the difference is with the bearings in the machine. Motors are the same speed, all that kind of stuff. If you have one or both of these machines, wheels, eye shields, finger guards, all of this stuff is the same for ordering replacement parts except for the arms. So if you go to order a new arm, just please tell us which color machine you're ordering for, if you've got a red machine or a teal machine. Cool. Tony, looks like we got Tony in the chat. Okay, sweet. Cool. All right. I believe that's all. I believe that's it for questions. Keep putting your questions in the chat because we've got access to the chat and we can address questions on upcoming live streams. But I've gone through all the notes from the questions we have, so it's time for the outro. Please give us feedback. That's the biggest thing is we want to be able to do this for you guys. So please give us feedback on how things went, audio, lighting, all that kind of stuff, and then what you would like to see in future streams. We're going to try our best to do this every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, same time. So I know our West Coast we're at it was like 10 a.m., maybe 7 p.m. in the UK. But yeah, drop us some more questions. And next week, I believe it was Jennifer in the Sharpeners Chat Facebook group. She would like to see more on sharpening left-handed scissors and specifically setting the twice as sharp up for left-handed scissors. So hopefully we'll have a sharpening demonstration, how to sharpen left-handed scissors in the standard configuration, and then switching the wheels and sharpening left-handed scissors in a left-handed configuration. So as of right now, the plan is left-handed scissors next Friday.
Discount.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Dan. There is a discount on our website for everybody who watched the stream. It is on our twice as sharp tune-up kit. The tune-up kit comes with all the accessories that you need to bring your machine back up to like new condition minus the arm. So the arm would be additional just because it depends on if you have a red machine or a green machine as to which arm you need. But yeah, so check out the website. It is up in the search, twice as sharp tune-up kit. It's a pretty big discount on buying all of those pieces individually. I think that's it. Cool. Thank you guys.